Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Man of Thoughts, aka the Villain of Truth, aka the Black Panther of Nigeria. Um, I'm suspending um, chat till after my story or explanation on Annunaki. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. So let me put my chat on fan fronted so have they been able to see it? Okay. I think I just did that. Participant mode. Okay. Let me just do that this way. Okay. You're welcome to the Man of Thought, aka the Villain of Truth, aka the Black Panther of Nigeria. We are going to talk about the Anunnakis today. And I've already promised that we're going to look into the subject. And that's exactly what I'm about to do right now. So for those who are going to be joining me, please, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. And when we're done, we're going to speak about, you can ask your questions. And let me give out a few time to see if people are going to join. Yeah, welcome to the Man of Thought. I will start today's subject talking about Anunnakis, and I wouldn't want it to be distorted when I start the conversation with so many chats so that I can focus on the subject at hand, and I wouldn't be distracted. And so if you're joining, you can subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, you can like the video while we proceed on the subject. First of all, before I go into the story of the Anunnakis or talk about the subject on Anunnakis and the ancient civilization, I want to make most people understand that I am not a professor on it, but basically because I'm a little bit cultural and traditional. Sometimes we can see certain patterns as humans, and those patterns don't change. And so, when we talk about the story of the Anunnakis, which is in the Sumerian tablet, it has been shown that Anunnakis were just a story from the Sumerian tablet, from the Babylonian, from the Akkadians, and it is their way of religion and their way of structure. Too many people believe that the God of Moses was the first God that existed. And if we have to talk about the story of the Anunnakis, we also need to understand that the story of the Bible would never make sense enough until we have to pay attention to the stories of the Anunnakis and why do we have to do that? The reason is basically because before the birth of Israel, there was also a civilization that was existing before Israelites. And the civilization include Sumerian tablets, the Sumerians, it includes the Babylonians and Akkadians. And when we look at it, they also have a religion and they are older than the Israelites with over that is a century. That's over 1,000 years that they've been existing and practicing their religion before anything called as Moses, Israelites, and whatever. In fact, this particular ancient civilization was actually existing even before Egypt itself. And so, if you have to believe in the Bible that you read, and you really want to know the beginning of the story of the Bible, then it is also important that you know about the Egypt worship and you also know about the Anunnakis. And the reason why I said you cannot truly worship God or have the full understanding of the Bible if you do not understand the mystery of the Egyptians or the Anunnakis and the Sumerian tablets or the Babylonians that has been existing over 1,000 years before Israelites even existed, then that simply means you do not have the understanding of the beginning of life. Rather, you are only picking up what is being established to you by your own religion and you're running with it and thinking that you've known it all and you know the beginning of earth. And so when I hear people have this debate and discussions, it marvels me in certain areas. Now let us ask ourselves, this particular civilization that was existing before Egypt and even the Israelites, what was their belief about God? In fact, if they have to talk about God, then it simply means they know God better than other civilizations that came up after them. And so, the stories of the Sumerian tablet and the Babylonians can be found somehow, well, I say somehow, directly in the book of Genesis, in a sense, and it can also be found in the book of Enoch, and it can also be found in the Ethiopian Bible. All the stories in the Ethiopian Bible, from their origin and the lost book of the Bible, and the lost book of the Bible, the book of Moses, the Ethiopian Bible, all these biblical scriptures are all taking up the story of that first century that existed before them. And that story is from the Sumerian and from the Babylonian, called the stories of the Anunnakis. Now let us ask ourselves, what are the Anunnakis about? Now, in the story of the Anunnakis, one of the things that popped up was that they came from a different planet called Nibiru. Nibiru was the planet they all came from. So it simply means there was already a god in this place. And that's what we call the god of the land, the god of the soil. And some of them will call them underwater god. Sometimes some of us call them mermaid and whatever. So in the story of the Anunnakis, they sent some of their planets were having some issues, and one way they discovered something was going on Earth, and they were looking for people who will be able to come. And the only person that was able to come after a period of time they had to send few of their, just the way we send people to a different planet, they have to send few people down to Earth. And part of the people they sent, I call them people, but they are gods also, they are deities. They call them the Ejiji. And the Ejiji, when you look at it in the scripture, it is called angels. These are also ancestral deities and gods, but they are lower in class. And so they sent them to Earth. And part of the story was that one of them discovered and signaled them that, oh, they were looking for gold and certain things to mine on Earth. Now, these particular things are just mythical conversations, basically, because we didn't have the experience. But the stories, I wouldn't say they are true, but they came from a culture that has existed before the Israelite. And these particular cultures are also, they also have the symbols in the Bible. Now, in the Anunnaki, Anu itself is said to be a sky god, and Ki itself, Anki, is called the god of the earth. So when the Ejiji were here, which was sent from the sky god to earth, they were working to be able to gather gold and use it to fix some of their own planets in Nibiru. And while they were trying to do that, the work became so much hectic for them, and there were a lot of conflicts. And so the gods had to come down to see exactly what was going on. And while they were having some kind of issues, there was one of the gods or the deities that was kind of will I call him stubborn, or he breaks every law. In your Bible, you might call it the devil. But that particular deities or gods, when it was here on earth, he was going against the gods, and the name of that particular god was called Kingu. So what the gods actually did was they sent a particular god, they are all hierarchy. So let us look at Kingu to be the devil, because he's against a lot of things they are doing and he just want to do his thing. They send a particular god of a different rank called Marduk. Marduk came, and because of the fact that Kingu was rebellious against the civilization of their own planet in Nibiru, Marduk killed Kingu. And he took his blood and they used it with with Anki, which is the god of earth. And Anki is also the god of wisdom. Anki can be called the god of earth and the god of wisdom. And Anki used the blood of Kingu to form man. And so, from there, that was when the first man was made. That was the first man that was made. And so the question is, when we look at all this story, we ask ourselves, so what is the function and why did they create mankind? The reason why they create humans is so that we can keep tilling the ground for them, taking care of earth, getting them gold at that particular time to fix their own stuff. And sometimes we ask ourselves, why are humans so interested in gold in that early age when all they should have been discovering was the idea of survival? It is a question that you can either believe or not. But I believe the story of gold and the rest of it, people fighting for gold or we want gold, has always been a question that should be raised in human, because the fact is this: to till the ground and to get gold is absolutely very difficult. Now it goes to a point that humans were being created and they begin to get much in life. That means they begin to replenish themselves and they multiply. It got to the point whereby humans themselves begin to rebel against the god, which is the Anunnakis, the ancestral gods. You can call them the deities. And when humans were against or doing things not following through the rules, it got to a particular point that the Anunnakis decide to wipe out the earth with water. And when they try to wipe out the earth, Ki, which is the Anki, informed a particular individual. I've forgotten his name. In the Bible, we call him Noah. So the Anki, which is the god of earth, got the information and informed Noah. Sorry, I'm using the name Noah, but Noah was not in the Sumerian tablet. And informed him to build an ark. And when he built the ark, for him and his family to stay in that ark, because the Anunnakis, which they are actually the god of the cosmos, that they are going to flood the earth with water. So Noah, and I'm sorry when I use the word Noah because Noah is not there, Noah took that his family and took some animals, and they were in that ark till the whole stuff happened. And it got to a particular point that the Anunnakis regretted that they have destroyed the same man that they made. And you understand that gods were so powerful, and you have to be rebellious or something has to happen for you to come from Nibiru down to earth to form man, and you have to use a blood of Kingu, or you have to find the blood of a god to create another man. But for them, they never knew that Anki, which is the god of wisdom and the god of earth, has already saved Noah and his family. I'm so sorry for those people who also know the story of Anunnakis. You will say, why is this guy calling Noah? But it's actually the same thing. The names are just different. And so Marduk tends to be like the angel Michael. But the difference is that in the biblical scripture, the story was that devil is still alive and the king of the earth. But when you look at the name Kingo, maybe when men were being made and they begin to worship the Anunnakis, because as they begin to multiply, they realized that part of their duties was to till the ground, and they begin to create temples. The temples was made for them to go worship every single time. The idea of worshiping the Anunnakis is to show that humans are abiding by their rules. The purpose behind the worship of mankind to the Anunnakis is to signify to the gods that we are complying with their rules and their principle. But here is it. These things has existed 1,000 years before Israelite ever wrote anything about the Bible. And some of it, these books were also in the Bible. And what I realized is that after this particular civilization of the Sumerians, the Babylonians, the story is actually in the Bible. After this civilization went off, they are being overcome by different things and they are all wiped off after a period of time. And that's how religion of Christianity and Muslim are being born. So when you look at the stories of these things, I just kind of simplify it because they are kind of big in a way to start explaining all these things. I think I just had to summarize it. The question is this: if the stories of the Anunnakis are true, then it simply means that the God that a lot of religious people talk about is not a God, but multiple gods. And like I referred to yesterday, the Bible says, "Come, let us make man in our image." It didn't say, "Let's make man in my image." It said, "Come, let us create man in our image and our likeness." So if that is actually true, which it existed around 4500 BCE to about 1900 BCE, compared to the religion of the Israelites, which was about 1000 BCE, that is when it was being recorded. You ask yourself this question, like, if that particular civilizations were existing first, and they have those stories, and Moses, which was the first person who started writing the book of Genesis and the rest of it, if it is true, which is actually, you might call it mythical, but there's an atom of truth in it, in the sense that even in the Bible we have the book of Enoch, and some of the things in the Anunnakis are present in the book of Enoch. Some of it are present in the book of Genesis. Because if you read the book of the Bible, the first thing was they created a man and a woman. And then they created another woman. The story about that is, you might call that person Adam. The first creature is called Adam. Adam had a wife called Lilith. But Adam never stayed with Lilith, simply because Lilith was also rebellious against Adam. And so Adam was made again to have a different wife, which was Eve. And what happened to Lilith? Lilith had to walk away, and they said she moved to the Red Sea. Maybe that's where she became so powerful, and she had some children, and people called those things demons, and that's how demons were being made. I don't know. These are all stories from our ancestors. But when it comes to the idea of the Ankis, which is the god of wisdom and the god of earth, there is what we call, there's a story also around this particular gods, which is they all live, these deities live underwater. And we have the river and we have the sea. And you always observe that the river and the sea never comes together. In Yoruba, we call them Omiokun and Omiosa. In the culture, in African culture, we call them Omiokun and Omiosa. Now, these two rivers, they have their own various worshippers. Till date, we still have various worshippers of these two particular goddess or gods or deities. So we still practice most of these things. But one of the things I know is this: if the story of the Anunnakis from the Sumerian, if the Sumerian actually existed before the Israelites, which is true, if the Sumerian and the Babylonians exist before the Israelite, then it simply means they are talking about the first thing that they understand. And if whatever they said is actually found in the Bible, then it simply means that they are possibly right. And so with that being said, if it is true, then the idea that God creates heaven and earth doesn't make sense anymore. The reason is simply because in the stories of the Anunnakis, they came from a different planet which is called Nibiru, and they came to Earth. Coming to Earth simply means they didn't say that they created Earth, they said they came to Earth. But every other stories they talked about, from the idea of Marduk, which is the archangel, which is Angel Michael, killing Kingu, which was the devil, using his blood to create human to manage the earth. Maybe that is the reason why, and this is exactly hypothetically speaking, but that's part of what is in the mystery, that this is the reason why humans have more divine and more consciousness than every other animals. And that's what differentiates us from them. Because we were made through the blood of a God. So that kind of makes sense, because when you look at other things, one of the things you can also get from was simply because in the story of the Anunnakis, they said when men were begin to rebel against the Anunnakis, and we were not worshiping them, there's a god that they call Zesudra. It's just because all these names are just too complex. Zesudra was one of the one that warned. Zesudra was part of the Anus, which is the god of the cosmos, came and warned and told Anki, which is the god of earth and the god of wisdom, about what was about to happen. And Anki informed Noah. Sorry again for calling the name Noah, but his name is not Noah. With that being said, if these things are true, then it raises questions among the religious people. Who are we? What have we believed in? And that means that God didn't create the earth was actually existing. So what Moses did was Moses had to remix the Bible, or Moses had to remix the Sumerian tablets and the Babylonian tablets, include it with the Egyptians. And that's the reason why we have what we have today and the beliefs that are being given to us. But one beautiful thing is this: no matter how powerful a civilization has been, there is always something that comes and that civilization will go away. So regardless of the Sumerian tablet and whatever they believed in, after a period of time, they were being overthrown and another civilization is born. The same thing happened from the time of Moses to the time of Jesus. From the time of Jesus, we have all kinds of civilization till we have what we have today. And I always tell people, believe it or not, religion would go at some point. Is it going to be born in a different form? I don't know. But right now, civilization, we are moving into a different civilization, and it is the civilization of technology. Most people think we are living in a technology age. The real technology age is yet to show up. And maybe sooner than later. I don't know. I can't predict that. But what I know is that there's another civilization that is close. And in each civilization that is born, a different civilization would have to go. But every story in the Sumerian, most of the stories in the Sumerian and in the Babylonian that has to do with the Anunnakis, most of them are still very practical in the African culture. We may call them different names. We may attribute them not to call them Anunnakis. In fact, we don't call them Anunnakis. The beauty of everything is this: when you read those stories and you look at our worship here and our culture and traditions, you would realize that these things actually exist. The pronunciation are the things that are different. And so if that is true, maybe so many people believe in the things they shouldn't believe in. I don't know. But I'm like, it raises a lot of questions within us. And to me, I try not to hold on to any belief. All I try to do is that humans are given a gift. And the gift of the divine inside of us is what most of us cannot actually count on. We rather count on in believing something and worshiping something because that is what we have been used to. One of the things I've been able to do with time is to tap into the idea, I call it an idea now, of the divine within me and their process in doing that. Every word we say mean things, and that's why the cosmos, the earth, listens to what we say. When you begin to repeat something, imagine something, talk about something over and over again, and it has something to do with the individual creating a vision, there's a possibility that you can use the inner divine inside of you to manifest a lot. The problem of today's society or humans is that we so much believe in religion, and sometimes we fail to understand that there's a divine within every single one of us. The problem that we also face is that when we request for things from the universe, either you pray to God or whatever, or divine or universe or whatever, most times our actions contradict our request. And when our actions contradict our request, it doesn't make the divine inside of us to be able to manifest our desires. And that is my own understanding on the Anunnakis. I just brief it so I don't start calling, because the names are not African names. They are not easy for you to pronounce. Like the one I called Noah, his name wasn't called Noah. Marduk, I was right about that, which is Marduk was what represented the angel or angel Michael. And in fact, in the celestials today, celestials also have a mentality of the as terrestrial deities or gods. And what are celestials doing? Celestials also, they have an understanding of using various things to be able to worship and make a lot of prayers, and a lot of things come true. So I don't need to start going too much deeper into what before I start sounding crazy. Let me open the chat. If there's any question, please do feel free to ask. Community, yeah. So right now, if you have any message, you have any chat, you have any question you want to ask me, because it is better we simplify these things than trying to debate them. I don't like debating them. People people voted. They say 57 no. 57% says no. I am suspending chats. Okay, that was what I typed. Sorry, I'm still getting my way around YouTube. So, do you have any question on this subject? And if not, we can proceed into other conversation. Any other conversation that you want to have, we can proceed into it. But if you want to ask questions regarding this, I can answer you to the best of my ability. Any question for the day? Doesn't necessarily have to do with the subjects, but if there's any question, please feel free to ask. I'm waiting. If there are no questions, then we will call it a day. I made it this story of the Anunnakis simply because Miss Lisa asked for it. Hopefully, she's live to be able to ask any question, and if she can, if she's not, then we're good for the day. Okay, since there's no question, let us call it all a day. Hope to see you all. Thanks for those who have subscribed. Thank for your those who have subscribed. Thank for those who like. Hope to see you guys either tomorrow. Maybe I will come back live today. I don't know. But for now, this is the subject I decided to touch on, and I believe Lisa is mostly not around, and that's the reason why I'm not receiving any question from her. So with that being said, see you. Thanks for joining me. We speak later. Have a blessed day. See you in my next video. Adios, amigos. Bye bye for now.